walk out in front of the pilot house on the upper deck. You can stand out there, captain can see right by you, so don't worry about it. We do ask if you go out there, you wait till after we blow the whistle. We'll do that right after we leave the dock. Once that's done, you can get up and go out there. We have soft drinks, bottled water, and coffee on the boat. They're all $1. We have a couple snacks on the boat, hot pretzels, get them with or without salt or cheese. And we make the world's best popcorn on the boat. It's made in coconut oil. It's not good for you, and it's $2. You can feed the ducks. You'll see adult ducks come over to the boat because they remember from last year that we're a big white popcorn spreader. There are some youngster ducks on the river. It's hard to tell them from their mom because they're as big as she is. They grow like weeds. They also look like her because all mallards look like females up until about 15 weeks. Some of them are starting to change. But you can really pick out the youngsters because when they see popcorn, they're still kid ducks. They're not going to let their brother or sister get to it first. Their colors come right out. My name is Gene. I'm one of the captains. I also do the narration on the boat. I'll be a deckhand on this trip with Jared and Brady. Stan and Mitch also are on the boat. They're my sons. They're both captains. We own and operate the boat. It's not some big company. It's us. Thanks for riding with us. Stan's going to be the captain on this trip, and the U.S. Coast Guard requires this vessel be no smoking.
Here we go.
As soon as we get sideways in the river, we're going to blow the big horn on the boat again. It's located out in front of the pilot house. It's on a white pylon right in front of the captain's window. If you look out there, right beyond him, you can see it out there. It's brass and bronze. This is called a Kallenberg triple chime. These were common on river boats in the 1800s. Those were steam-powered vessels, so they used steam to blow them. They could do that all they wanted. We're diesel powered, so we have to use compressed air, and we can only do that for about 7 seconds. It empties a 240-gallon tank in that length of time. So it uses a tremendous amount of air. It works on the same principle as blowing across the top of a soda bottle. There's a large bronze casting with 3 circular slots, and above each one of those slots is an open-bottom brass cylinder. Those cylinders are 3 different sizes, and that's why it's called a triple chime. Again, it's a Kallenberg triple chime. When the captain reaches up to pull the handle, if you close your eyes, you can almost imagine you're on your way to Nolan's. If you're from Michigan, that's New Orleans. There are not too many horns you can feel when you blow them. I'm sure some of you looked down at the boat and thought it wouldn't fit into these bridges. Actually, it doesn't. We just go back and forth in here. Boats like this in the 1800s were called packet boats. A packet boat carried passengers, but also carried a lot of cargo. Quite often on a packet boat, on the lower level, they built a deck that extended about 9 feet on either side of the hull. Usually they'd stack cotton bales on those. Sometimes they'd stack them so high the captain could hardly see where he was going. It made them a lot of extra money, but it also caused a problem because sparks came out of the smokestacks and set fire to the cotton bales. Riverboats evolved very quickly with tall stacks, sometimes 60 to 70 feet high. In fact, every 4 years in Cincinnati, there's a festival called Tall Stacks, where riverboats from all over the country come up the Mississippi and up the Ohio to Cincinnati, where you can ride in all different sizes of these vessels. The tall stacks,
I think we got a race going on here.
Cotton bales, but it also caused another problem. As years went on, more roads were built, therefore bridges were built that they couldn't get under. So riverboats are one of the few vessels that have smokestacks that retract. The original design was to put a hinge at the bottom of the stack on the backside, right at the deck. They would have lines hanging off the backside of the stacks, and lines running off the front going down to an A-frame bridge, half the crew would get on the bow, half the crew would get behind the stacks. The crew in the back would pull back on the lines while the crew on the front let the A-frame come up. The stacks would retract. After they did that, they cleared the bridge. They'd reverse that process. That was dangerous because the stacks were so tall and heavy. They were also hot and full of soot because they directly exhausted the boilers. Somebody finally figured out that the problem was not the tall stack. It was just the top of it. So they simply moved the hinge up toward the top, put a counterweight on the outside so one person could easily tip them back. The top of our stacks weigh about 100 pounds, but when we pick up on the iron bar on the outside, they feel virtually weightless. The only problem in tipping our stacks back, because they're not functional, they can fill up with water. But it only affects the people up here in the first class seats. We do have a name for it. We call it riverboat baptism, but we don't charge extra for that. We normally clear the bridge by about 18 inches, but in marine navigation, an inch is a mile. They use something by the bridge. The two sides of the boat are the port and the starboard. The port is on the left as you face the front, and the starboard is on the right. If you want to remember that, port is spelled with 4 letters, and so is left. Over on the port side, right down to the edge of the water near the shore, is a piece of concrete. It's not much to look at, but it's the last remaining piece of a sawmill that was there for many years. From 1850 to 1890, the Saginaw Valley that we're in was the world's largest producer of white pine lumber. Every waterway in the state was used to float logs down to sawmills, where it was cut up and shipped all over the world. That was true of this river, and that's also what that mill did. That was Huinger Mill 140 years ago. Just about any town you go to in Michigan that's on or near a waterway, someone can show you very large homes they will tell you were built by lumber barons. And that's where the lumber barons cashed in from 1850 to 1890. We are on the Cass River. The Cass was named after the first governor of the state of Michigan. His name was Lewis Cass. He was only 31 years old at the time. He had already been a brigadier general in the Army. He was appointed governor by the president because Michigan was still a territory. In fact, surveyors had gone back to Washington after looking over this territory and described it as an uninhabitable, worthless, mosquito-infested swamp. So they didn't think too much of us. Lewis Cass had a much better image in this area. A lot of things are named after him. Cities, streets, and also rivers. On the left side of the boat is a dike with a concrete wall on the top. That was put there in the 1950s by the Corps of Engineers. Before that was in place, Frankenmuth would flood every year. It was quite common, especially in the spring, to see rowboats on Main Street. The highest the water has been since that's been in place was 1986. The water went all the way up to the top of the concrete wall. It came within an inch of going over the top. If it would have been 4 feet deep in the Bavarian restaurant main dining room, which is actually on the 2nd floor. So the Corps of Engineers did a pretty good job 50 years ago figuring out what the 100-year flood level would be using slide rules before computers. Obviously, the other side of the room does flood. There's no dike on that side. The Bavarian Lodge over there, for the most part, is above the 100-year flood level. The yellow portion would have gotten wet, but it wasn't there then. The lodge originally was 100 rooms. Today it's 355. It has 5 indoor pools. It also has an indoor 18-hole miniature golf course. It's built on the site of the Weiss Farm, and the Weiss farmhouse set right where the main lobby is. Those large architectural elements on the roof that look like onion domes are actually called onion domes. Those are common in Bavaria. Bavaria is a fairly large portion of Germany. At one time, it was a separate kingdom, and that's where the settlers of Frankenmuth originated. The Cass River is very shallow. Out from our dock is the deepest portion of this part of the river. It's 12 to 15 feet deep there. Right in here, it's only 6 or 7 feet deep. But that's one of the advantages of a true flat-bottom riverboat. This boat is built exactly like the Mississippi River boats. The bottom is flat and it has no keel. Even though this boat weighs well over 50 tons. We can add 150 passengers to that, and it's still only 24 inches of the boat beneath the water. It sounds silly, but you could be standing in water a little above your knees, and we can float right by you, fully loaded. The paddle wheel does drive us forward and reverse. It's driven by a diesel hydraulic system. It is real. It's not fake. In fact, it only goes in the water 10 inches. A packet boat captain once said that a correctly designed packet boat should be able to float on the morning dew. Main Street Frankenmuth have been converted to businesses, but these two just ahead of us on the left are still residences. The large brown house actually had a twin on the property where the Bavarian Inn Lodge sits. When the lodge was built, parts of that home were used to expand this house and also do some architectural corrections to it. The hotel on the left side of the boat opened in 2007, named after Marv Herzog. Marv was a polka band leader. He lived his life here in Frankenmuth, but was known around the world. His wife was involved in building the hotel and named it after him. It took some time to complete that structure because of the small size of the property. All the parking under the building.
Is that
another wedding?
Oh yeah.
A lot of people get married.
Run for your lives while you still can.
The brick building on the left for over 100 years was a brewing company. It opened in 1862 as Cass River Brewing. It later became Geyer Brothers. They brewed Frankenmuth beer and also Pioneer Ale. In 1996, they were still in business. A tornado came through Frankenmuth, did a lot of damage, and also destroyed several homes and destroyed a good part of this building. Also up on the left on the hill is a yellow building, a red brick building, and some silos. And a Star of the West Milling Company. Star of the West is a major supplier in the U.S. of flour that's used for baking pie crust and also cookies. And that's because they mill Michigan white wheat, which is very low in gluten and ideal for that purpose. If you've ever had a pie from McDonald's or Sara Lee products, most likely you've had Star of the West flour. The company is named after a Civil War ship, and it's over 100 years old. Also, that large silo on the hill holds 260,000 bushels of wheat, and that's only a 22-day supply of wheat for the mill.
Leaves in the river.
Yeah, you gotta go somewhere.
This river has a lot of turtles in it. Unlikely we'll see any setting on the sun this time of the year, but they do in the summer a lot. That's because they're cold-blooded creatures, also digest their food. One of the largest turtles in North America is in this river, the spiny soft shell. Other times they have spiny soft shell also is the largest turtle in North America.
like the city park with soccer fields and softball diamonds, but it's also the site of many festivals throughout the year. Before the largest of the Bavarian festivals, the Music Fest, the Oktoberfest, and the Autofest. The Autofest attracts 2,000 automobiles every year in the park. Classic automobiles. It's one of the neatest family events in town. Also, the Oktoberfest is the only one outside the original in Munich, Germany, sanctioned by the German government. The first Oktoberfest was held in Munich, Germany in 1810 as a 3-week celebration for the wedding of King Ludwig and Princess Teresa. It is still held every year today, and it's the world's largest public celebration.